New World, the new MMO from Amazon Games, is finally available worldwide and has already seen record-breaking success. From tons of fans raving about the gameplay loop to most of those same people complaining about the long queue times, it's been hard to escape New World in wake of its launch, and even harder to deny that this game is having a real moment. So if you find yourself curious about what all the hype is about, but you're also feeling a little intimidated by everything that New World has to offer, well, don't worry, because this guide will hopefully make everything a little less intimidating. In this video, we're giving you the ultimate set of tips for getting started in New World so you can do less searching for answers and more playing. For more of New World and other RPGs, make sure you like this video and smash the subscribe button. Let's start with what you'll be doing the most in the early hours of the game, questing. And for those of you that like to reach max level as fast as possible, I've got you covered. I'm not that type of player myself, but I respect those that are. So after creating your character and loading into the world, you're faced with a little tutorial section before heading off to the main game. It may not be obvious at first, but this section is skippable. So don't feel like you have to replay it if you've already tried the game out during those beta periods. To do this, open the pause menu and navigate to the game menu tab at the top right of the screen. Here, you should see an option that says skip to New World. But take note, skipping this intro will cause you to miss out on getting your first weapon mastery point. However, not all is lost. You can either wait until after the fourth enemy to hit skip, or you can skip it right away and earn that point later on. Once you're out of the prologue, you'll spawn in one of four regions: Everfall, Monarch's Bluffs, Windsfall, or First Light. And if you happen to have a preference, there's also a way to completely change your starting zone. To do this, talk to the person on the beach and complete that initial quest, but do not start the next one. Instead, open your map and you'll notice that the next quest is available on all four beaches. Now all you have to do is make the long journey to the beach you want and then kick off the opening quest in that territory instead. Questing is New World's core activity, and in the game there are four types of quests that can be completed: main, side, faction missions, and town projects. Completing any of these rewards you with experience points to level up, and doing so earns you an attribute point. But before we talk about the attribute points, let's talk about the most efficient ways to earn more XP in less time. First off, don't ignore the side quests. As tempting as it may be to try to focus solely on the main stuff, it's smart to pick up the available side quests along the way. This will save you so much time and you can earn more XP. For example, old me used to do all of the main missions until they were too high of a level for me. So then I would go over to the side quests to try to reach that level, oftentimes going back to the same areas that I just was in for the main quests. So be better than old me. Grab those side quests and tackle them while you're already out completing other things in the world. I can't stress enough how much travel time you'll save. And while you're already grouping side and main quests, make sure to toss in some town projects and faction missions. Town projects can typically be found in the town hall, and be on the lookout for very simple projects that can be completed without going out of your way too much. For example, I stumbled on 2 listings for Hunt Boar at the same time. This became an easy killing 2 birds with 1 stone type of situation, as now I was completing 2 projects with similar requirements at the same time while just casually traveling to a quest. And even though town projects are good to do whenever, faction missions should be a top priority when they are the first 3 of your day. These daily bonuses can be seen in the upper left-hand corner of the faction mission select screen, and it should say 3 of 3 if you haven't done any yet. According to the developers, this bonus nets you about 200% more XP than the mission was originally worth. So let's recap really quick. Grouping your quests together are key for more experience and cutting down travel time. Main, side, and town projects are perfect for grouping together all the time, but your faction missions will get the most benefit when they're the first 3 that you're doing that day. All right, got it? Got it? Let's hydrate. Let's jump back in. Let's do it. To save even more on travel time, you'll want to make sure you're checked in at the inn of the area you're questing at. This way, after you've done a handful of quests, you can just teleport back to town, turn those in, and get right back out into the world to complete some new ones. However, keep in mind that the cooldown for recalling to the inn is 60 minutes. Don't want to wait, walk, or pay for fast travel? Well, there's also dying on purpose and respawning at the nearest camp or settlement. It'll just cost you a little bit of weapon durability. Settlements are also a great place to be when you're done playing New World. Logging out while in a town can earn you a rested XP bonus when you return to the game. That means that any task that gives you level XP will grant you a little more as long as the bonus is active. And now you don't have to feel bad when you go out and live your real life, because when you return, you're getting a little bit extra towards your progression. Another way to level up quickly comes in the form of territory standing. With each rise in an area's reputation comes a large amount of XP for your character. You increase territory standing using all your normal experience gaining activities like questing, crafting, killing mobs, etc. Completing a quest in Everfall earns experience for Everfall. Crafting something in First Light earns XP for First Light. And every new standing level comes with a reward, one of which can be XP buffs. So if reaching max level is your top priority, then I'd advise paying attention to your standing and picking the XP or standing buffs when available. Some extra leveling tips include picking up notes around the world and adding them to your journal. These are only worth around 100 experience, but if you're out killing a mob and a note is right in front of you on a crate, it wouldn't hurt to pick it up. Plus, you get the added bonus of being able to read it later and get more insight on New World's lore. And speaking of killing mobs, keep in mind you only need 2 light attacks in order to gain experience off someone else's kill. So if you can manage to squeeze those in while you're passing someone fighting, then boom, you've got a tiny bit of XP without much effort. And we'll discuss a little more about PvP later in the video, but since we're talking about experience, flagging yourself for PvP is another great way to earn extra because of its 5% bonus. Now finally, let's go back and talk about what you're going to do with all of that experience and leveling up. Spending attribute points. New World does not feature a traditional class system like other games in its genre. Instead, the character's attributes heavily impact your playstyle. The attributes available at launch include Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence, Focus, and Constitution. Strength will affect your melee weapon damage, while Dexterity does a little bit of the same, but also improves the effectiveness of ranged weapons. Intelligence can boost the power of magic weapons, while Focus affects the recovery rate of mana as well as your healing output. And that leaves Constitution, which improves your overall health. Keep in mind that there is a free respec up to level 20, so feel free to experiment with your build early on and figure out your preferred playstyle. And aside from attribute points, leveling up can get you a second weapon slot at level 5, your first bag slot at level 10, and your first house at level 15. These types of rewards continue every 5 levels until you hit max level 60 and earn access to the PvPvE mode Outpost Rush. In Rush, teams of 20 players from competing factions fight for control of outposts that can be strategically upgraded using gathered resources to help push the enemies back. And while taking control of the strongholds is the main objective, there are others spread across the map as well, giving teams multiple ways to gain the upper hand and win the match. New World's developer has chosen to stray away from the usual auto-attack combat style of other games in the genre, and instead opted for a more active real-time combat system. You'll have to strike, shoot, dodge, and block all on your own while fighting NPCs around the island or your fellow players through the game's PvP system. This system is opt-in and lets you enable or disable the feature while in a settlement. However, in order to opt in, you must have joined a faction and reached level 10. The weapons you'll be using to fight are split into 4 categories: one-handed, two-handed, ranged, and magic. Each category has 3 weapon types with the exception of ranged, which only has 2. The one-handed weapons are sword and shield, rapier, and hatchet. Two-handed weapons include great axe, spear, and warhammer. Magic includes the fire, ice, and life staffs. And ranged consists of the bow and the musket. Each of these weapons can be found or crafted at their own rarity level: common, uncommon, rare, and epic. And each of those can be found at different tiers. However, you need to be a certain level to use weapons of a certain tier. And in New World, there are a handful of attack types. There's slash, thrust, strike, as well as fire and ice, just to name a few. And each of those has a different effect on the different enemy types. So here's how the colors break down. Orange means critical damage, White means normal damage. Yellow means that enemy is weak to that damage type, and blue means that that enemy is resistant to it. For example, the Corrupted are weak to thrust damage, but resistant to ice. Meanwhile, the Lost are resistant to thrust and weak to ice. It's sorta like the Pokemon type charts, if you're familiar with that already. And similar to swapping different Pokemon in and out of the battle to gain the advantage, New World's classless system means players aren't tied to a specific damage type and can switch to anything on the fly. Getting all blue numbers from Slash? Switch to Thrust. Still getting blue numbers? Whip out that elemental damage weapon and try that out instead. Points gained through this weapon mastery system can be used in each of the 2 skill trees. There are 38 total abilities per weapon type, but mastery has a level cap of 20, so at this time it is not possible to unlock every ability available. However, it's still really good to experiment with every weapon early on to figure out what suits you, but try to settle on your favorite 2 by the time your character is about to hit level 20. This way you can focus on gaining mastery in those 2. Higher weapon mastery means better weapon skills, which in turn could mean the upper hand in combat, leading to more experience, especially in PvP. When it comes to armor, there are some important things you need to know about weight. For starters, you can mix and match different weights to your heart's content. You don't have to stick to one style. The combined heaviness of those chosen pieces are what determine what weight class you're in, and thus affects your movement and damage output. Light characters have a rolling dodge and a 20% damage bonus. Medium characters have a quick hop instead of a roll, and also have a 10% damage buff and a 10% longer crowd control. Heavy characters get knocked down to a slow sidestep, but have 15% increased block and 20% longer crowd control. And a really good tip to remember with your gear early on is to salvage everything. You may be tempted to toss what you don't want in storage or put it up for sale at the trading post, but trust me, storing it is a waste of time, and it's very unlikely that someone's gonna buy it because they just received that same reward from the exact same quest. So salvaging can free up your inventory and give you repair parts to help with your favorite weapon's dwindling durability. Crafting is essential in New World, and you'll be doing everything from creating and modifying weapons and armor to cooking food in order to keep your character alive. But your crafting is nothing without other skills like gathering, unless you plan on buying all of your resources, and if so, make sure you're buying from a settlement that's close to those resources because the price will be less. Also keep in mind that each town has some free resources scattered around, so make sure you grab those if you spot them. In the game, there are 17 trade skills split up into 3 categories, and your level in the 10 gathering and refining skills have major effects on the 7 crafting skills. Higher gathering gives you the ability to detect special resources on your compass, while higher refining skills makes you more efficient with resources. So leveling each of these different areas is definitely worth it, and all 17 skills have a max level of 200, so there's plenty of room for you to grow. However, I would suggest specializing in one of the crafting skills at a time. Leveling multiple refining and gathering skills can be fairly simple, but due to the resource pool becoming smaller each time you craft, it can be a little difficult to level like weaponsmithing and armoring at the same time. And if you're planning on doing a lot of gathering, as you should, I'd suggest investing in some quality tools first. Upgraded tools can make the gathering process much faster, as well as increase your chances of gaining things like extra Azov. So there you have it, all of the useful tips to help you hit the ground running in New World. If you have any tips of your own, please hit the comment section and share with the whole class. And if you found this video helpful at all, hit the like button. If you didn't, also go down to the comments and let us know what questions you still have about New World so we can possibly cover them in the next video. Thanks for watching.